The algorithm. Subtitle: Her code didn't fail. It was sabotaged. Chapter 1. No, the system failure. They say algorithms don't lie, but I've learned people do. My name is Dr. Elise Hartley. For 5 years, I worked at Echelon Dynamics, an AI firm based just outside Cambridge. We designed predictive systems for the finance sector, the kind that move millions in milliseconds. My team was small. 5 engineers, one mission: create an AI that could forecast risk better than any human analyst. We called it Icarus. And for 2 years, it flew perfectly, until the day it crashed and took my reputation with it. It started at 9:17 a.m. A global hedge fund, one of our clients, reported a catastrophic data breach, followed by a market algorithm failure that wiped out £74 million in trades. Within minutes, every alert on our system went red. I remember staring at the screen, the code cascading in panic. Thousands of lines updating faster than I could blink. "Elise, what's happening?" my manager shouted. I didn't know, but an hour later, someone decided they did. Me. Chapter 2. The blame by noon. I was summoned to the glass boardroom. Inside sat Gareth Lang, our chief technology officer. Sleek, confident, the kind of man who called data narrative and people resources. He slid a printed error log across the table. "Your commit ID appears in the patch that triggered the crash," he said. "That's impossible," I replied. "I didn't push anything live." "The log says otherwise." "Then the log's been altered." His eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting a sabotage?" "I'm suggesting I didn't do it." HR was there too, expressionless, hands folded over a redundancy form they'd probably prepared hours earlier. "Effective immediately," Gareth said. "You're suspended pending investigation." I stared at the Echelon logo etched into the glass wall. My life's work, now behind a pane of silence. "You built the algorithm, Elise," he added coldly. "Maybe you built the flaw too." I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I walked out, calmly, because panic never helps. Chapter 3. The Fall. The story broke the next morning. Echelon AI failure. Engineer suspended in £74 million crash. My photo, my name, my humiliation. Colleagues stopped replying. My inbox filled with messages that said everything but "we believe you." For the first time since I was 14, I shut down my computer and didn't open it again. For a week, I barely ate. I walked through Cambridge like a ghost, the city of science and trust now looking at me like a glitch. On the 8th day, I woke up at 3 a.m. with a single thought. If someone framed me, the proof is still in the code. I brewed coffee, reopened my laptop, and began reconstructing Icarus from the offline backups I'd kept. Every engineer knows. You never delete your work. Not really. Chapter 4. The investigation. I started with commit histories, timestamp chains, contributor IDs, system patches. Everything looked perfect, too perfect. The patch that triggered the crash showed my credentials, but the syntax was wrong. It used a style I hadn't coded in for years. More importantly, the encryption salt in the commit hash was inconsistent with my workstation. It meant one thing: someone had faked my identity in the system. I dug deeper. The malicious code was hidden inside an innocuous function, a single line buried among thousands. If value $0 on execute fallback. But instead of reverting safely, it redirected to a private IP address, one that wasn't ours. The IP traced back to a secondary server, registered under a consultancy called Lang Analytics Limited, Gareth Lang's side company, I sat there, stunned. The CTO hadn't just sabotaged my work, he'd used my identity to hide his own laundering of client data. I realized I wasn't the failure. I was the firewall he needed to burn. Chapter 5. The Trap. I knew confronting him directly was useless. Echelon's internal systems were locked down, monitored, and controlled by his team. So I decided to rebuild the truth outside their walls. For weeks, I worked in silence. By day, I applied for jobs I didn't want. By night, I reverse engineered Icarus line by line, isolating every trace of his interference. To make the evidence undeniable, I'd need something called code provenance verification, cryptographic proof that a file's signature had been altered post-commit. Most companies never use it, but I had once collaborated with a professor at Cambridge who'd built his own verification algorithm. I reached out under an alias. He sent me the tool. No questions asked. One scan later, the truth lit up my screen like fireworks. Every falsified commit, every fake timestamp, every redirection to Gareth's company, all tied to his personal credentials. The file metadata even showed he'd used a VPN from the company's internal network the night before the crash. He'd sabotaged his own AI to force a client's dependence on his private consultancy. And I'd taken the fall. Before we continue with Chapter 6, I want to let you know that our team love it when you subscribe to our channel. They really appreciate it. Now we continue with Chapter 6, the proof. I compiled everything, logs, network traces, provenance records, into a single encrypted folder. I named it Icarus_falls.zip. Then I wrote a short note. You always said algorithms don't lie. Let's see if investors agree. But I didn't send it. Not yet. Revenge wasn't the goal. Justice was. I needed to expose him legally, not emotionally. I contacted a journalist from the Financial Herald, someone who'd once covered our work on AI ethics. I introduced myself as a former Echelon engineer with documentation of data manipulation. She replied within an hour, "Meet tomorrow. No phones. No trail." Chapter 7. The Leak. We met in a quiet cafe near the River Cam. She listened as I explained everything: the sabotage, the false logs, the hidden IP. Then I handed her the encrypted drive. "If this checks out," she said, "it'll be the biggest corporate scandal since autonomy." I smiled faintly. "Just make sure you verify the provenance keys. They don't lie." 2 days later, the article dropped. Echelon CTO implicated in AI sabotage and market fraud. Within hours, every major outlet picked it up. Screens across London glowed with the headline, "The algorithm that turned against its maker." I watched from my flat as Gareth's LinkedIn profile vanished. Echelon shares plummeted. The board called an emergency press conference, and my name, once tarnished, began to trend again, but this time, next to one word: vindicated. Chapter 8. The Confrontation. 2 days after the story broke, Gareth called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. His voice was shaking. "You've destroyed everything." "No," I said quietly. "You did. I just ran the code." "You think this makes you a hero?" "No. It just makes you visible." He paused, then laughed bitterly. "You'll never work in this industry again." "Maybe not," I said, "but at least I can still look at my reflection." "You think they'll believe you over me?" "They already do. The algorithm proved it." He hung up. Later, I learned he'd been suspended pending criminal investigation. His consultancy, Lang Analytics, was dissolved within a week. Icarus had flown too close to the sun, and this time, The fall wasn't mine. Chapter 9. The Rebirth. Echelon's board reached out through intermediaries. They offered to settle privately. Money, public apology, and full reinstatement. I declined. Some things are worth more than reputation. Instead, I founded Alethea Systems, a startup dedicated to algorithmic transparency. Our motto was simple: every decision should explain itself. We built auditing tools that made AI accountable, every choice traceable, every action verifiable. Within a year, our software was adopted by 2 government departments. Investors called it the conscience of machine learning. I called it closure. Chapter 10. The Legacy. One afternoon, months later, I received an email from a student at Cambridge. She wrote, "I'm building an AI system for ethics validation. Your story inspired me. Thank you for proving that intelligence doesn't have to mean silence." I read it twice, and for the first time since the crash, I felt peace. People think revenge is about destruction. It isn't. It's about restoration, of truth, of balance, of identity. They took my name, my work, my credibility, but they forgot something simple. Algorithms follow logic, and logic always finds its way home. Gareth thought he'd written my ending, but I rewrote the code. Her code didn't fail. It was sabotaged, and this time, it failed the saboteur. This is the end. Our team loves it when you subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for listening.
Select now another video in our series of family and company dramas. They are all powerful stories of people coming back stronger after they have been humiliated or hurt by family members or their management. Always make sure you stay strong. Let nobody ever tell you what you are worth. You know the best. Of course.